Hello you lovely people and welcome. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Aerodynamics T-38 Professional for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Now before I get into the review, I want to address the elephant in the room, where there's a misconception that the F5 Bravo and Foxtrot are the same as the T-38 Alpha and Charlie. Now where they may have this similar looks, they are two very different animals. So I'm just going to reel off some stats on the F5 Bravo and Foxtrot, and then we'll get into the review. Now in front of us we have a photo of the F5 Bravo. This was powered by two J85 GE13 engines. The engine rating was at 2,720 pounds of dry thrust and 4,080 pounds of wet thrust or afterburner. Had a maximum speed of Mach 1.34, a cruise speed of Mach 0.84, max range estimated at 1,300 nautical miles, and a service ceiling of 50,000 feet. That brings us onto armament, and the F5 Bravo Foxtrot could carry 4,400 pounds of external stores, which includes, for example, bombs and fuel tanks. It could carry two AIM-9 sidewinders on the wingtip rails, and it also had two M39 20mm cannons with 140 rounds each encased in the nose. Now in the 1970s, the US Air Force decided to upgrade their F5 Bravos. This meant introducing the ANAPQ-157 radar. This wouldn't fit in the nose, so modifications were made to make the nose 3 feet longer. The radar is a derivative of the ANAPQ-153 radar. Also, the Bravo was put through the propulsion modernisation program. This meant swapping out the old J85 GE13s for the J85 GE21s. The engine ratings for those 3,500 pounds dry thrust and 5,000 pounds wet thrust. And that brings me to my last point before moving on to the T-38. There are two relatively glaring obvious differences between the F5 trainer and the T-38. And that is the leading edge root extension, which you can see on the pitch here between the intake and the slats on the leading edge of the wing, and the wingtip missile rails. Okay, so let's see what we get with the package. So you can see I've got it selected there. Let's go to configure. Okay, you'll see that it comes with 8 separate flight models. You get the Alpha and the Charlie, but you get single seat, dual seat, single seat with the weapons systems support pod, and you get the dual with weapon system support pod. Now as I'm hovering over this one, we'll have a look at the weapon system support pod. So the aircraft is able to carry that on the ventral pylon. Very little information is out there about the pod itself. I know that it opens up and you can put things in it, but I believe that it also works in conjunction with the avionics in the Charlie variant to sort of simulate the weapons, obviously hence the name, the weapon system support pod. But I've also heard that it can be used as a luggage pod. I know that NASA astronauts used luggage pods. Whether it was the WSSP, I don't know. As I say, there's conflicting information out there about it, and that's pretty much all I can tell you about it. Although the reason for there being a separate flight model for the WSSP variants is that it adds a drag index to the flight model, making it slightly less maneuverable, slightly less as quick as it would be if it was clean, and that's purely the reason why there are separate models. So like I say, you've got Charlie Dual WSSP, you got the Charlie Solo WSSP, and when you say dual and solo, basically if you load in with a solo, you'll have one pilot. If you load in with a dual, you'll have two pilots, or a pilot and instructor. So you've got those to choose from. Again, you've got the Alpha Solo with pod. It's just the Alpha Solo, Alpha Dual with pod, Alpha Dual, Charlie Dual, and Charlie Solo. Now all the liveries will be the same for the pod variant and the normal variant, whether it be solo or dual. So I won't go through all the liveries because I'd just be repeating myself, but let's go with the dual here. Click on liveries. So we've got Edwards Air Force Base Test Pilot School Heritage Scheme. You've got the Test Pilot School Line Jet, which is in the usual training colours. Laughlin Air Force Base 87th Flying Training Squadron. You've got the FAIP, which is when an instructor gets their first assignment, instructor pilot, which is FAIP. If they have flown with, if they've flown and gained instructor status with very low hours on the jet, they get their aircraft painted, their assigned aircraft painted in a scheme, and this is one for 87th Flying Training School. You've got NASA N966 November Alpha, just a normal white rocket. Randolph 12th Flying Training Wing, and then you've got obviously those squadrons within the wing there. So you've got 435th Flying Training Squadron. You got the 435th Flying Training Squadron Smurf, and then you've got the SQCC jet, the 560 Flying Training Squadron. You've got Prisoner of War Missing in Action jet, SQCC jet for the 560, which is a lovely Southeast Asia camo. Shepherd 90 Flying Training School, usual colours, first assignment instructor pilot colours. Then you've got the Test Pilot School Heritage scheme and Test Pilot School Line Jet scheme. And if we go back to variants, so if we now go over to the Alpha, click liveries. Okay, so we've got the first fighter wing based at Langley. They're blue coloured jets. You've got the 9th Reconnaissance Squadron based at Bill, which I think is absolutely a beautiful jet. Then you've got the first fighter wing Langley Air Force training colours there. NASA 901, NASA 920, and you've got purple N938 Tango Charlie, and again these ones just have the pod at the bottom. Thunderbird 1, Whiteman Air Force Base 13th Bomb Squadron. They're keep up the hours on the pilots at Whiteman when they're not flying the B2. Then the follower scheme, and the Alpha doesn't seem to have as many schemes as the Charlie, but yeah, there we go. Right, so let's get some stats down for the T-38 Alpha. So it was powered by two J85 GE5A engines. The engine rating was 2,050 pounds dry thrust and 2,900 pounds wet thrust each. Maximum speed of Mach 1.3. Max range estimated around about 991 nautical miles. Service ceiling of up to 50,000 feet. Armament, none. Now, the Thunderbirds used the T-38 Alpha from 1974 to 1981. Their use of the T-38 ended on a rather sombre note. During the pre-season workup on the 18th of January 1982, while practicing the four-plane diamond loop, all four aircraft impacted the ground, killing all four of the pilots on range 65, which is just off Indian Springs Auxiliary Field, or as it's now known as Creech Air Force Base. Right, so I've chosen the Solo Alpha in NASA 901 livery at Edwards Air Force Base. Now, I know this whole walk around thing is seems to be a big part of 2024. I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me, but on that note, none of the stuff is removable, and you can't check any of the control surfaces on the T-38. I'm not sure if that's going to come later, but at this point it's all done within the cockpit using the manual. So as I said before, I've chosen the Alpha. I've chosen the Solo, which means just the one canopy open. If I'd chosen the Dual, there would have been a guy in the back seat as well, and I would have had to jump in the back seat to close the canopy before start up, so that just negates all of that sort of stuff. As you can see, we've got pitot, probe cover, intake covers, and all the remove before flight tags. Chocks are in, and we've got the ladder there. A very fine looking jet. Oh, the sun's just popped up over the horizon. And it seems to have popped down again. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so we've I've always been a fan of the T-38 and the F5 families. Always thought they were a very sleek, fast jet. Watching them at air shows, absolutely loved them. Just pure power. As you can see, I mean, the liveries are done fantastic, and the model itself is very, very, very good. So really, that's all there is to show you on the outside. So let's jump in the cockpit and go from there. So looking around the cockpit of the Alpha, okay, we can see that it's been modelled and textured absolutely beautifully. To our left, we've got the flight sim electronic flight board, which we can use as like sat nav, things like that. We remove that by clicking the holder behind the back there. Now, what we're more interested in is the actual cockpit itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from back left. We're going to work ourselves clockwise to the back case, and just have a look around the instrumentation. So starting left back here, we've got a couple of circuit breakers which can be pulled and put back in. We've got the for ground use only panel, landing gear doors, switch there, attenuate, auxiliary flaps, and an anti-G valve test switch, comms radio, your damper, rudder trim, takeoff trim. We've got flaps there, and also our throttles and finger lifts. Come forward, fuel shut off switches for both the engines. We have a comm antenna switch, so we can change from up to lower or leave it on auto. Starter switch buttons, a backup landing gear release lever, taxi switch, our gyro fire up for the artificial horizon, landing gear. Up here we've got fire warning light and our indexer light here. We can turn the brightness up and down on that. AOA gauge, we've got our speed gauge, our G meter, backup artificial horizon, a clock. This switch is for the navigation, the beacons. We can switch from TACAN to localizer to ILS. One thing to note, if you're going to jump in this and think you can do normal navigation, VOR is not a thing in the alpha, to remember. Okay, so we've got a COM switch, antennas, nav, ILS, COM2 ILS, forward, rear, nav switch. Then we've got some volume rotators there for various bits and pieces. Our main artificial horizon, bearing compass, and then we've got RG, not G, it's R altimeter. Got master caution up top here, canopy warning light. We've got our VVI here. Under here we've got hydraulic pressure for utilities and flight control hydraulic pressure. These are for both our engines, so we've got RPMs, believe that's EGTs, nozzle position, fuel flow, oil pressure, fuel quantity for both left and right tanks. Down here we've got a pressurization dump. We can have it in auto for our ECS. Change it whether it's warm, cold. Underneath got cabin pressure for pitot heat, engine anti-ice switch, which you can have on manual or auto, and then canopy defog rotator there. Come across here, we've got fuel boost pump switches, our crossfeed switch, our gauge test, canopy jettison which isn't operable, battery switch, generator switches, oxygen switches here, our caution panel, IFF, then we've got internal lights and external lights, and then the map case. Up here we've got the canopy close and open lever. Now in the pedestal, if I move the, can't move the flight stick, so we've got our UHF here and the on switch, volume and preset or manual, TACAN, and then nav radio. More circuit breakers at the bottom here, and that's it for inside of the cockpit. I've got AOA index there and a whiskey compass. I do apologise, forgot those. Now if we come to the map case and click just here and here, we have our flight manual, and this is where we can do our removal of the chocks, covers, ladders. We can add the pilots into the aircraft. We can also connect the external power, turn the external power on. We can also attach the external air and start the engines by applying air to the left engine or the right engine. Next we've got a table of contents, so you can click straight to whatever you want to go to. So there's checklists, briefings, formation briefing, navigation checklist, approach briefing, hold procedures, things like that. Very small writing which I can just barely read in my VR set, but yeah, if you can read that, more power to you. I can't, but leaving it to that. Okay, and we'll jump in the rear seat and have a look at that. There are not quite as many instruments as there are in the front for obvious reasons, but looking from left to right, so we've got circuit breakers, we've got anti-G valve test button there, weights on wheels for ground use only. These are weight on wheels, obviously. Radio attenuate again, takeoff trim. We've got flaps and our throttles, obviously. Start switches, but we don't have control of fuel shut off or anything like that. We have our landing gear lever there, fire warning, and our AOA indexer light rotator there. The indexer is in the middle there, same as it is in the front. Then we've got our AOA gauge, we've got our speed gauge, accelerometer or G meter, backup artificial horizon, pretty much a copy. Main instruments across the top is an exact copy of what's in the front. Got the volume rotators here, our flap gauge, and our, well, what would be the gyro align for the artificial horizon. Pedestals the same. We've got boost pump and cross feed lights here. What we've got down in the corner here, so that's liquid oxygen, my bad, for our oxygen switches there. And then we've got lighting for the inside of the rear cockpit, and then some more circuit breakers at the back here. Map box isn't, you're not able to get into that. So that's it for the rear seat. I mean, we can open, you have to press and hold your mouse cursor over to open the canopies. To close it, it's just a single click. So hold it, opens, single click, closes. Okay, so that's it for the rear cockpit. Right, before I start, I'm just going to quickly show you the connection and the sounds that you get when you connect those, which I think is really cool. So external power.
It's clear. Power cables in, systems prepped.
Okay, and we're good. And if we look back to our left there, we've got our external power cart there, or ground power unit. We connect the air.
It's clear. Got ground air hooked, standing by.
When we look back, we've got our ground air cart. So it's nice that they've thought of those as well, and obviously the comms that go with. So if, say we turn on.
Clear. Looking external power on now.
There we go. Ground power is now on. And if you fly DCS, that may have sounded familiar to you. Right. So I'll get this thing fired up. And we'll have a listen to the sounds, and we'll get the aircraft moving. Okay, so we're up and running. As you can tell, it's really rather loud. Got the canopy open still. So we're going to jump outside, look at the sounds. I'll show you the cart all connected up underneath the aircraft, and then we'll move back in, get the canopy closed, which is still rather loud. So let's have a look around the aircraft and listen to the engines. Right, okay, let's get this canopy closed. It's still quite loud, but not as loud as it was. So let's disconnect the ground power and the air supply.
It's clear. Unhooking external power now. Hands clear. Air supply's off. Clear for the jet.
Okay, so we can take the ladder off and the chocks.
It's clear.
Okay, now we can, if you click...
Chuck's aircraft set when you are.
Okay, so if you click here, now put it back in the map case, and if you click this area here, it will close the map case. Now, I did forget to get the gyro aligned for the artificial horizon. Okay, so I didn't show you the startup simply because I don't want this video review being any longer than it should be. I'll do a proper startup in a separate video. So we're just gonna get ourselves to the runway. Okay, you don't need a lot of power to get this thing moving, and once it is moving, it will pretty much move on idle. Nozzle steering is automatic. There's no button to engage it, which can be a little bit of an issue when you're on the runway and on your run up. Can be a bit sensitive rather than using rudder to keep you central. But ground handling is very good, very simple, and does what you want it to do. I'm basically pulled the throttles all the way back to absolute idle, and this thing is just rocketing along the ground. So you may need to have your brakes ready to just slow it down a tad. Mountain home F-15s. Nice. So we're gonna cross the left runway. I'm gonna use the bigger one on the right hand side. So I'm gonna cut across. We've got a side wind, so it doesn't matter which way we really take off, but yeah. Apply the brakes here so we can stop short of the runway. Okay, just hold short here for a second. Get that up a tad. Get our takeoff trim. Push and hold. Try again. Light is green, trap is clean. So we're good to roll out. Just do a quick IFR flight around Edwards. No need for any navigational aids, and get the flaps down for takeoff. Make sure speed brakes are in. As they're down by default. Okay. Cells lined up. Okay. Let's get our toe brakes on. Throttle up nice and slow. I mean, the brakes are good enough to hold the aircraft on full throttle. So go full throttle. Brakes off, afterburner on. Wait for around about 150, 160 knots, and then we'll rotate. Okay, start rotating now. Okay, and we're good. Gear up. Flaps up. Start trimming those down, otherwise it will get away from you. We don't want anything too aggressive. Side wind is a bit bumpy. We'll keep this heading for just for now. Thinking about climbing now. Wouldn't normally do this, but I can get some altitude quick. And that's quite high enough. I'll level out here. Still got the afterburners on. Let's see if I can push Mach 1. This thing, the Alpha is capable of doing Mach 1.3. Can climb to 50,000 feet. It takes a while to get there, but it is capable. I've actually managed to push the Alpha to Mach 1.32, and that was around about 37,000 feet. Okay, there's Edwards. Keep the burner on. See if we can push Mach 1. See if we can get that Mach up before we break the sound barrier. And those will start to drop in a second as we approach Mach 1. And go. Trim that out. Okay, it's going, trim, trim, trim. And boom, there we are. Nose comes back up again. And we're doing Mach 1. Nice. Nice and easy. There's Edwards. Okay. So we will throttle back. It's quite simple to get it through the sound barrier. Climb to altitude is quite comfortable. I mean, if you're pushing for extreme, like 50,000 feet, it's going to take a little while. And it will burn most of your fuel. 300 knots. 25,000 feet, I think I'm looking for it. Level that out. It's very roll sensitive because of the small wing. There we go. controls absolutely beautifully. Obviously you don't want to be overly aggressive with it, you'll bleed the speed off really quick. And this thing being very similar to the F5, the F5's an energy fighter, you need to keep the speed up. It will bleed speed very quickly. T-38, as it's more underpowered compared to the F5, will bleed speed very, very quickly. So, just to keep that in mind. Okay, there we go. Quick snap roll there. I've done so much flying in these T-38s recently that I've not flown anything else on 2024, mainly because 2024 still crashes out and this is one of the most reliable planes on here. Okay, let's see if we can do a loop. Well, I know we'll be able to do a loop, but let's do one anyway because it's fun. And get nose down. Some speed up. I hit 400 knots. Nosing up. Afterburner on. Now we're pulling some G. Nice 5G pull there. Out of burner. Lovely stuff. I mean, I don't know what more I can add to this really, because it's such a reliable, fun little jet, and aerodynamics seem to have nailed it, if I'm honest. Okay, another 5G pull there. See if we can grey out slightly. Pull a bit tighter, a bit tighter. Okay, nice tight turn, 300 knots. Better pull out of this before my pilot hyperventilates. Either that or bust a nut, one of the two. Okay. Low speed handling, we'll go through that. Let's get the air brakes out. Level out, air brakes out, trim nose up, drop the flaps, keeping the nose up, drop the flaps even more. Okay, keep the throttle on. Some POI going on. Wow. Okay, so see if we can get this thing to stall. There's the stall. Yep, doesn't like that. Okay, so we're stalling out around about 120 knots with flaps down. See if we can get this thing stabilised. There we go. Back to normal flight. Trim nose down. There is no trim gauge in here, unlike on the F5. On the F5 the trim gauge would normally be found here. In this case it's just on feel, unless I've completely missed something. Let's get downwind and land, because I've still got the Charlie to do yet, and I'll be here all day otherwise. Gear down, flaps down, trim up for the drag. Let's get ourselves on base. For red, I'm dead. That was a terrible approach. Got a hell of a side wind. Throttling back. Bit of aero braking. There we go. That's the Alpha anyway. Let's jump into Charlie. Fact time again, this time for Charlie. So, in order to upgrade the Alpha to the Charlie, from the research that I've done, I've found three programs that the upgrade went through. So the first one is the Pacer Classic program, and this addressed structural replacements to expand airframe lifespan. The next one is the Avionics Upgrade program, and this changed the instrument panel to an all-glass cockpit. The navigation systems were all updated. It included a electronic no-drop bomb scoring system, and it also involved changing the ejection seats to Martin Baker US 16Ts with better, safer parameters, as the older variant was, well, the parameters were way out for a safe ejection. And the last one of the three is the propulsion modernisation program, and that changed the engines to two J85 GE5Rs. The engine rating on those are 2,200 pounds of dry thrust, 3,300 pounds of wet thrust, and it had a maximum speed of Mach 1.3, a maximum range of 1,093 nautical miles, a service ceiling of 55,000 plus feet. And as far as I know, the only structural changes that you can spot externally are the air intakes, which have been, well, they're no longer slanted forward, they're almost straight, and they've been widened so that they perform better at lower altitudes, as the previous configuration wasn't very reliable. Okay, so you may have noticed quite a big difference here. So we're in the Charlie. So left hand side we have the tablet again, which I'm going to get rid of. So we're going to do an instrument thing again from left to right. So we've got circuit breakers, landing gear doors, attenuator, auxiliary flaps, and our anti-G valve. We've got a TCAS, MDP or AAP, and our, I believe that's an alignment for EGI. Yaw damper, rudder trim, takeoff trim, flaps, throttles, backup TACAN. You'll find that majority of the steam gauge instruments in this are backups. We've got our fuel cut-off switches there, comm antennas, switch aft. Is that upper, lower, and auto, not aft and forward. Engine start switches, backup landing gear release, landing light, flap gauge, landing gear lever, our indexer, which is to the left this time, light dimmer, got our master caution there, fire either side of the upfront controller, and a canopy warning. Our backup artificial horizon altimeter, VVI, and this one is speed. We've got a master arm switch, our CMD switch, marker beacon light. These are all our audio switches here and dials for volumes and things. Data transfer cartridge slot, which you can program in, well, I'll explain it later, but it comes with a an external app that you can use to program flight plans and things, which you can save onto DTC. You can insert it, and then that will load up into the avionics. So nothing on the pedestal apart from some circuit breakers and a DTC slot. Our MFD, a UP up front control panel UFCP, a HUD, whiskey compass or magnetic compass. We have our engine, electronic engine display, EED, our hydraulic gauges, backup comms, backup nav, and our air pressure. Caution lights, so boost fuel pumps, and our crossfeed, gauge switch, jettison canopy lever, which doesn't work, our battery, generator switches, our oxygen, and our oxygen supply. Here we have our environmental control systems, so all the dials for demisting, canopies, keeping it warm inside the cockpit, and also our cabin pressure pitot heat there. And then we've got internal, external lighting, canopy lever map case, which again is holding our manual there, and that's it pretty much. Control column here. But in comparison to the Alpha, Charlie minimises a hell of a lot, with, like I say, majority of these, like here, all of these here, and this here are all just backups, which you'll probably never have to use, but they're there. As you can see, the throttles, the levers are actually a lot smaller. So let's jump into the instructor's seat and see what's back there. Okay, for some reason the seat position back here in the Charlie is quite far back. I seem to be inside the seat, so I may have to use the zoom function for this so you can see what's going on. So from left to right, we've got circuit breakers, anti-G valve test switch here. We have for ground use only, weight on wheels, our radio attenuate, takeoff trim, throttles, flaps, our start switches, flap gauge, land gear lever, our indexer, which is in the middle for the instructor on Charlie, the lights, dim, our backup gauges here, which is the same as the front, volume, audio for things like ILS, TACAM, whatever, same as the front. Pretty much everything is in the same place as it is in the front. We're just missing comms, nav, TACAN, all that stuff, oxygen and internal lighting here, and then we've got some random knobs and switches there, map case that we can't get into, circuit breakers again. That's it for the front. Now we've got our the rear, sorry, we've got the engine, electronic engine display, ED, MFD, and the UFCP here. But yeah, that's it for the instructor seat. So we're going to jump in the back. Actually, do we have the canopy shut here? We do. Yeah, we'll jump in the front and get started up and get rolling. And just like the Alpha, you're going to need the manual here to use the externals to get this thing started. You can start off the battery, but the power cart is there to help with that as well. So I'm just going to put the pilot in, take off the ladder and the covers, and going to get this thing started, and see you in a sec. Right, okay, so everything is now up and running. Close the canopy, and we're going to, well, we'll keep the manual there for the moment because we're going to need it for the chocks. So as you can see, all living, breathing, electricity is flowing through the aircraft, got the avionics up and running. So you can see our electronic engine display is now showing everything that is vital: RPM, EGTs, nozzle position, oil pressure, fuel flow, and our fuel gauges. Over in the center here, we've got our up front control panel is on and is ready to go, and as is our MFD. And you can see we've got all sorts of options around the edges and stuff. Now I'm only going to skim over what we've got here because I'm going to do a navigation video separately, because there's a little bit to cover in that, and I'm not going to do that in a review video because I don't want to keep this too long because people lose interest. So our backups aren't switched on, so turn the volume knob, there goes the UHF, and just click this on once, and then we've got our nav radios. You can tune those with these knobs here. Clicking the button in the middle there will swap them over. Not that you're really going to use that anyway because these are just backups. Everything is done via the upfront controller and the MFD. So just going to skim through just so show you some of the more important ones. So your flight plan is here. If you've not done it through the external app or beforehand in the world view, You can add, delete waypoints here. Let's go to comms, your radios here. You can do UHF, VHF here. Change your frequencies, change what type of transmit receive you're on. EGI, that is the navigation system. It's already aligned, we're in nav. Again, I'll show that in another video. IFF, you put your transponder codes here. Anything with a drop down menu here, click this and it will show you that sub menu. You can change it to mode A, C, ADS-B, whatever takes your fancy. So if we click return, it will take us back to the main menu, and then we hit return again, it will take us back to the front menu. So go back into there. If I want to change that to 7413 for some reason, okay, we can change that to mode A, return, and we are on visual flight rules, which is what I'm doing, and ident using this button here. Bullseye, again in another video, not too important, not for the moment. Clock, acknowledge. If you've got anything flashing up on the HUD, say like warning or anything like that, click acknowledge, it'll clear it. Got your WIT, VTR, video tape recorder. As far as I'm aware, that doesn't do anything at the moment. We can set our course heading here. So we want to change our course to say 225 and click enter. You see the course needle is now pointing at 225. Heading bug is here. We also change that to 225. That'll change that to front facing. If we want to incrementally change it, instead of keep going through this, we can use this to change course. Hold it down and it will move it. Click it a little bit at a time and it will change it. The same on the other side with the heading bug. Got your brightness here, brighten that and dim it. Across the top here are navigational modes. So you've got EGI, VO, R, TACAN and ILS. So if any frequencies are input, it will show up here. So at the moment ILS has got 11050 in for some reason. I haven't put that in, that's in by default. Same with the VOR, which you can VOR navigate in the Charlie variant. TACAN's got 50 Yankee. How many people use the Yankee? But anyway, yeah, that'll all show there. If there's anything that you actually tuned into, it will give you your bearing, your distance, everything like that. And it'll also show you what frequencies you're in and things like that here. Also repeat up in the HUD. We've got glide slope, localizer needles here, and if you're tuned to a proper ILS, that will show up there. It'll also show up in your HUD as well. You've got some other bits and pieces. You've got a declutter button, which can declutter all this stuff here. Mean sea level warning and above ground level warning, so that's your rad out. Find out, where was it? It's on in the out, that helps. So you mean sea level. If you're, say, you're transitioning at about 20,000 feet, and you want a warning for if you get too low through barometric altitude, or if you're using a hard deck for BFM. Say you're up at 25,000 feet, you want a hard deck of 5,000 on the barometric. So we'll click there, 5, okay, and press enter. As soon as you go through the hard deck, you'll have a warning flash up on your HUD. So if you are mock dogfighting with a buddy, and it saves you keep looking down, you can just set that there. The rad out warning, I normally change that to 0 because I don't like the warnings flashing up every 5 seconds if I'm doing low level. But if you want, I don't know, say 50 feet, enter that. As soon as the rad out passes 50 feet, you'll get a warning up on the HUD. So, pretty, I don't know what that noise was, so I do apologise. Pretty simple. Looking up on the MFD, I know this is a mess, I'm sorry. So we've got speed in top left, altitude top right, our artificial horizon, angle of attack, G, and obviously our navigational bits and pieces here. You can reset the G meter here, holding that down. We've got a positive, negative G there, and it's giving us our limits there, so about, was that 7G and -3, maybe 4G. So yeah, simple enough, and yeah, like I say, I'll do a more in-depth video, or you can watch the videos by Aerodynamics, because they've done some in-depth on the Charlie on their YouTube channel, which I'll put a link in the description to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the chocks now,
Hands clear.
and just taxi down to the runway.
Alright, John. Flying chalk, you're crash free.
Up on the HUD, I forgot to do the HUD, sorry. So the HUD, we're actually in F16 mode at the moment. If we click, where's the HUD? There. If we click there, it'll go into military mode, which is like a standard across the board thing. So you've got everything in dials. Get rid of that flashing speed brake sign because it's doing my nutting. Right. Just to explain a few things on the HUD. Again, skimming over the more, just so the more important things. So we've got our navigation ILS down the bottom, we've got a clock down at the bottom right, we've got our pitch, not our pitch, our bank angle, our pitch ladder, armament safe mode, sustained G's is above ILS, G meter is up there, angle of attack, and our fuel plus bingo, altitude, speed, if I've already said that, vertical velocity, and our datum, our horizon there. Across the top you can't see because the bloody sun's in the way, is our bearing tape, and we seem to have another clock up the top there. Might have to look at that a bit more when we're in flight. Okay, so we're going to taxi to the runway. It doesn't take much to get it moving, sort of forward slightly, and once it gets rolling, it doesn't take anything to stop. It just keeps rolling, so be ready on the brakes. Sorry about the jump cut there. Absolutely typical. I'm recording a video and I get someone at the door. Any other time there'd be nobody, so that's my luck for you. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, I was going to the taxiing to the runway left. Okay, a couple of things. Yaw damper on, trim to take off before I forget. Light is green, trap is clean. Okay, so we are pretty much good to go. Yeah, while I'm here, I might as well show you the yellow and green speed readouts here, the lines. So we can change the green speed. I like to set that to about 155 knots. The yellow will automatically go 20 knots higher. But I don't know what happened to my voice there, excuse me. But we change it to yellow. We can change that up to, I'm going to switch it up to about 190 knots. Okay, and you can see there's a big gap there. So it gives me a lot of space between decision and rotation. We can change the bingo here as well to 1000. Okay, and we're going to reset that. We can hide the manual now. Right then, let's roll. Get the speed brake up. bit dirty up there. Nice sunset. And just so you want to change anything at all, you can change, as you can see, there's a drop down menu there for where it tells you the TACAN code. You can change your VOR here, you can change your ILS here as well, change your TACAN code. I don't know the one for Edwards, I should know it, that's bad, but I'm not barely leaving the airfield for this flight, so it's all going to be visual flight. Okay, so we're coming up to runway left. I'll start applying a little bit of toe brake so we can taxi onto the runway. So if this Charlie is actually modelled to take into the factor of the propulsion modernisation program, this should handle a lot better at lower level. So we'll see. Okay, so just going to throttle all the way up. Toe brakes on. Flaps it down. Just check that takeoff trim one more time. Should be green. What's going on? Okay, all good. Brakes off, afterburner on. So I'm looking for about 155, 160 knots for rotation. Only problem is this bloody nose wheel steering is an issue on takeoff run, especially when there's a side wind. $140, 150, 155. We can start rotating now. Gear up, flaps up. Start trimming nose down, because as you gather speed, this thing's just going to want to climb to the moon. Okay, keep it low. And we want to keep an eye on the velocity vector, not our datum, which is the one above it. Simply because the velocity vector indicator is going to tell us how quickly we are climbing, and we don't want to get too nose high. So anything just under 5 degrees nose up. Well, we're further than 5 degrees nose up, but yeah, get to about 400 knots. Okay, 400 knots, 5,000 feet, going to start turning. About 10,000 feet, a little bit of rudder input. How far is Edwards from here? See if we can break Mach 1 before we get to Edwards. Do it. Change the HUD to F16 mode. Okay. 0.98. There goes the Mac tuck. Mach 1, there we go. Seem to have got there a lot easier than the Alpha. Interesting. Okay, we can throttle back now. Let's do some low speed handling. Right. Get one notch of flap down. No, I don't want the gear down. Okay, bring the nose up. Open the taps a little bit so that we don't descend too quickly. not bad at low speed. Although I do have some sort of oscillation going on. I'm going to open the taps up now, so we can stable that out. And brakes in, flaps up. We'll bring it into land now. Finally. Okay, downwind. He's back on the throttles. Brake out again. Trim for the difference. Flaps down, gear down. Throttle up ever so slightly. Start making our way in now. Back, let it float down. There we go. Bit of aero braking. There we go. Watch the nose wheel steering when the nose hits the ground, because you will veer off. Apply some brakes. Okay, and the awesome thing is when you go to shut down, you can put your chocks on, hold that, add the ladder. Okay, get off the brakes now. push. There we go. Turn everything off. There you go. That's the Charlie for you. Right, so I'm just going to sum up my review now. I think this module is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. I've not found anything wrong with it yet. They had a few bugs on release and they've been patched. So I think they're version 10 now, I think. So majority of bugs are being squashed. Their customer service is absolutely excellent. Communication is really good. Go over to their Discord. You can get all your questions answered there. But yeah, for just under $30 or just over 22 English pounds, this is absolutely worth the money. It really is. And if they're going to keep adding to it, it's just going to get better. And I've not even delved into the Infinity app yet, which allows me to change the weapons, make a flight plan, and various bits and pieces like that. It's you can load that straight into the jet, which is brilliant. Obviously my favourite of the two is the Alpha, because I'm a steam cage kind of person, but the Charlie's just as good, but the Alpha does it for me just for the looks of the cockpit, and also the Bill livery, which will go with the Beale Air Force Base, which will go with the SR-71 when it's released. Excuse me, I don't know what the hell's wrong with my voice at the moment. For the SR-71 when it gets released. So that'll be a nice trio to have from that bit of scenery there. And yeah, so I can't fault it. The liveries are lovely, the modelling's fantastic, sounds are superb. It's, for me, probably one of the better add-ons, third-party add-ons for 2024 so far. And that the sim is still a mess. It'll still crash out on me when I'm using other aircraft. So I'm not the only one. I've heard it's happening to other people and causing issues and whatever. And just like the first flight sim 2020 variant, it will. That was random. Anyway, yeah, just like the 2020 version, it took years to get that sim up to spec, and then they brought 2024 out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as the sim progresses and as this product progresses, because I absolutely love it. Like I said, I've got a thing for the T-38 F5. It's just something about it. Maybe it was from seeing F5s in my childhood at Mildenhall when I went to the air shows, but I've always had a love for the aircraft. So yeah, would I recommend it? Absolutely. Is it worth the money? Yes, absolutely. So yeah, fill your boots. If you got this far, thank you for watching. I know it's been a while since I last released a video, but a lot is going wrong in my life at the moment, so it was nice just to take a break to make this video. So yeah, take care, and I will catch you in the next video.